listens. That's what we're working with. Uh-huh. Hi, Svetlana, can you hear me? Okay, cool. All right. Can you click on the links here? Hi, everyone. No, so okay, how do we share these? Is it this? No. Okay, I'm just going to post the links, publish the link in the chat. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Okay, so first one here. And the last one. Whoops. All right, just give you a couple of minutes to have a look at those. The first link is an introduction to the project. The second link is adding classes and students. The third link is study notes, which are basically lesson notes for us teachers to save all the lesson notes for the students and to share them. And the last one is on pronunciation, our system of phonemes and IPA. Okay? You're welcome. I'm just going to have my tea. Thanks, Svetlana. I didn't realize there were going to be so many people. We've got 27 people and somebody from Siberia. Oh, very exciting. Wow. Right, today what we're going to do when you've finished having a look at some of the videos is we're actually going to go into the platform and look at all the functionality and how to use it, etc. And hello from Minx. Wow. Oh, in the Crimea. I've been to the Crimea. I was in Yalta 1 year before the coup against Gorbachev. Oh, wow. I don't even know where that is. Ah, okay, thanks. By the way, I'll be in Moscow at the end of the month, beginning of November, for the conference there. So if any of you are going to that, please say hi. Where is Yamal? Ah, Dagestan. Wow. I always forget how big Russia is. You went for a swim in the Crimea. The weather's got to be better than London. Oh, hi, Moscow. Or Moskva. I remember that from my Russian trip many decades ago. Right, I'm just going to put the lights on here because London weather is terrible. Oh, wow. Lovely. Yamal region is in the north of Russia. Such a big country. Okay, are we ready? Shall we have a look at the platform? This is true. Most of Russia is in the north. Okay, right. So if we're all ready, we're going to start from absolute basics, as in we're going to go in and just log in. Now, I've set up 2 accounts for today's webinar. I've set up an account for a teacher called Ivan T. T for teacher, not Ivan the Terrible. And Olga S. Okay? Right, so you go to the main website, as you can see here. We're going to log in, and we're going to go to the teacher's account, Ivan T. I couldn't help the Ivan T because Ivan the Terrible. I remembered some of the history from Russia. Right. Right, let me just go back. Now, could you all see that? You can see this. Yep. Okay, brilliant. I'll continue. Right, so as you can see, this is the home page. On the home page, we have search, so you can search vocabulary. This is the section for English vocabulary. We have about 6,000 words, something like that. I'll show you it later. English grammar is more limited, it's mostly vocabulary based. In the future, it will have grammar structures. In fact, I'm working on that at the moment. We have the class manager. This is how you manage your classes and your students. Class study notes, which I call sort of a web whiteboard. So basically, this is your blackboard, your whiteboard, but in an electronic version where you can put all your notes and share them with all the students. Class progress, so you can check students' progress, communicate with them, etc. And we also have a system of printable worksheets. Now, I'll show you all of this bit by bit in stages, so it's all very simple and you can all get it very easily. Now, the system comes with here, there's a tutorial system, so on every page you'll see some notes here explaining things. Now, when you first log in for the very first time, the system does this. It takes you to this page here, which is help, and you have all those videos that I posted before with the links in the chat here. So you can have a look at those, and then in fact you can just click here and go back to the home page. Now, when you've read these notes and you really understand the system, then you can click here like that and you won't see it again. Yep. So we've had a look at the home page, we've had a look at help. So let's go to setting up classes and students. So to do that, we go to the class manager. A default list here, but I'm going to add a class here. So let's call it Moscow State University. We're going to pick low advanced, save, and here you can see the class here. You can edit the details of the class, change the name, change the level of the class there. And here you can add students to your class. So we're going to add our first student. Now, Ivan, of course, is the admin on this account because Ivan here is the teacher controlling the account. So we're going to put in a student, Olga. Yes. Now, you do need your students to join up with WORDISER so that the system can find them. However, if they're not in the system, I do believe let's see if we can do something like this. Maybe that's not working. Okay, well, we'll leave that for now. But you try and get them to sign up first, okay? And then you just click add. And we have the student here. So we got the class, we got the student. You can add as many students as you want. Right, let's go back to the webinar. Any questions about that? Wow, we've got up to 38 people here. Did you all get that? Is that all fine, clear? Oh, is it free? Yes, it's free. So far, it's just a dream. Well, you haven't seen anything yet. Remember, this is probably the first VLE, virtual language environment, ever designed by a teacher. What I do day in, day out is teach. So I designed it for us. Do they need to have emails? You need to sign up with an email, but the system has its own communication system, which I'll show you later, okay? Oh, hello. Right, let's go back. So we have our class here, we have our student. Now, just to make it very clear for you, instead of using the side menu here, which you can use anytime you want, I'm just going to stick with the home page so you see everything again and again and again. You know, that's the way we learn. So we got our class manager, so now we can go to our class study notes. Now, when you add a class, the system adds that class automatically, and for every student in that class, they get to see this folder as well. So you don't have to mess about or anything. In fact, with all your classes, there's a tab menu here, so you can just click on them here, or you click on the card here. So you can go in here. Now, we can add a study note, which is just a class note, like the notes that you put on your blackboard or your whiteboard every lesson. And we could also add a shared folder, but I'll explain that later. So let's add a study note for today. This is the study note. Let's just go back and see what the system's done. Now the system's added the date for today automatically. So again, you don't even need to put a title, but you can change the title. You can also work on these study notes and hide them from students while you're working. So you can do it like that, and then it's hidden. You can see it, your students can't. So we're going to make it available. Oh, sorry, that's the... This is the edit is very important. In fact, let's just go back there and I'll show you what I did. Now, to add content, you need to edit. Just to view the content in non-edit mode, which is kind of like the way your students will see it, you just click on the card. And as you can see, we haven't added anything, so you can't see anything. So let's edit. Now, basically, you have the title of the card here. You can change that. So we can, 1, for example, for today. You have a system here for adding vocabulary, which we're going to look at in more detail because it's a very important part of the project. And then here you have all the exercises and activities that you can use using the study notes. So you don't have to search for anything, you don't need to get lost, it's just all there. All you have to do is click the buttons, follow the instructions. So today I wanted to pick a topic that was general English, but with some EAP academic English, because I know a lot of you are working at universities. So I decided to go for crime and criminals. So we are going to do a gap fill for crime to begin with. Okay? So we could do, we can add a title here, and we can say lesson, sorry, let's get rid of that, crime and criminals. Okay, let's start off with adding concepts about crime. And we're just going to add a gap fill. So all you do is you click on the button here, gap fill. You can create your own gap fills, or you can search our database. In fact, there are about 6,000 gap fills because of all the vocabulary we have. So I'm going to search crime. Ideas in crime, verbs for crime, types of crime, people in a crime, ideas in crime and justice. Types of crime, maybe concepts. Can't remember exactly which it was. Concept. Okay, people, one sec. I'm just gonna go in and find the exact category. So we were doing crime and justice.
Crime and justice.
It was a speaks, as you just saw. Now which one did I want? Types of crimes, ideas, and it was ideas and crimes. Right, okay, not concepts. So crime. So select ideas and crime. Now we have here prevention, rehabilitation, capital punishment, retribution, corporal punishment, and euthanasia. These are just some concepts. Now with the system in the future, we can add even more words, as many as we want. But for today, we're just going to look at a gap fill. So click. It's added it. We can call this vocabulary. So we're going to just save it. And now if you click here, you can do the gap fill. Now, of course, you're going to see edit here in the teacher's version. Your students don't have edit access, so they won't see it that way. So in UK schools, there used to be, this is a horrible thing, but it did actually exist, and that would be corporal punishment, I believe. There you go, it goes green, and of course, you got it right, corporal punishment. So as you can see there, you've got a gap fill. You can do that in seconds. Was that clear? Are you having a conversation while I'm doing this? Okay. Well, let's have a look at one of the questions and we'll do it bit by bit. So we got, do students need email accounts on a particular domain? No, they just need to register accounts. The WORDISER technology uses a lot of the technologies from Google. So we have AngularJS here. As you can see here, it's responsive. So your students can use it on desktop, on a laptop. You can use it on an electronic whiteboard if you have one of those at the university. I use it in my class on a huge electronic whiteboard, which is very impressive. I like that one. You can also use it on mobiles. We have tested it and debugged it for Android phones and for Apple phones. Most of them, it works for all of those. The only thing is the browsers you need to use really are Chrome, Mozilla, Safari. Does the system create the sentences itself? No, the system is an expert system. So let me just show you very quickly. I go here again and I go here again. Right, as you can see, you've got exams, business, this is a smaller section, general English. In here, you can see there are about 6,000 sentences, 6,000 phoneme IPA data sets, 6,000 images, 6,000 definitions, 6,000 related words. So it's a complete data set which you can use here with a gap fill or the other things to access and create automatic exercises in seconds. Can you? Yes, in a way you can. We haven't done it in terms of the exercises here. So you basically do it for a category or a word set. But if you decide to go in here, I don't know, newspapers, you will see that all the cards are actually labeled according to the European framework. So for some reason, see, that's B1, these are B2, etc. So yeah, you can actually go into every category here, and you can look at which words are for which level. In the future, we'll add a search system so you can search per level, but at the moment, we don't have that. The exercises that you saw with the gap fill are based on all the data I've added. I have, me and my team have added, we have specialized in IELTS and PET at this stage, based on official Cambridge University word lists. So your question is, I mean, the data here is all written by native speakers. And most of the data, well, all the data here has been checked and verified. And we can see some quite complex data sets here. For example, your students at university would probably use this kind of language, degrees of up and down for describing charts, etc. You know, verbs, slump, plummet, fall off, plunge, etc. Yeah. So all of this data has been checked. Is not just taken from the internet. It's quality data. Is there an opportunity of adjusting the data? Yes. We are currently building what we call a P2P system, which will allow all the teachers in the WORDISER network to monitor, edit, and check all the data, because in the future I'm not going to, of course, be able to physically correct everything that's coming in from teachers. But yes, and in fact I'm going to show you that in a minute. Okay, we've done a gap fill. Let's yeah, the data is authentic. I deliberately write most of the data with that in mind. So I tried to take a very good example of how we use the language and make it as natural sounding as possible. At the same time, we call this a lemma. I don't know if any of you are sort of linguistic researchers, but we call this a lemma. And to make sure that this lemma is used in context, and that if you gap the lemma, you could actually guess what it is, because these are very tightly written definitions. They're not general. Yeah. Okay, so let's have a look at another thing that we can do. So let's go for a quiz, for example. You might want to introduce a vocabulary list and quiz your students on their knowledge, because as you know, as teachers, we don't know what our students know 100%. We can't read their minds, and often, rather than sort of what we do in terms of presenting and teaching, what we're actually doing in the classroom is testing and then teaching. We're testing what they know, looking at their weaknesses, and then we're filling in the gaps and teaching them the things that they don't know. So let's go back to crime. We have verbs for crime, and we've got all these verbs here. I'm going to create a quiz. And here what I'm going to do is, because all of this is HTML, you can copy and paste all of this. So just to make it look nice, because I like that, making things look nice. Probably Svetlana knows very well. Let's have verbs for crime. And then here, I'm just going to paste the link. You can't lose any data here because it's actually saving everything in real time. I'm going to save there just as a backup, and then we can have a look here. So now here you've got a wonderful word set, authentic example sentences, and then of course the students have to read the sentences, and then they have to work out which word is the most appropriate, which sometimes is very difficult, especially when you have word lists with lots of synonyms. So this is very, very useful when it comes to getting students to really think about the specific meaning and use of a lexical item, rather than just thinking, oh, I'm plucking some synonym out of the air, which they often do. Now, so as you can see, you can add a gap fill, you can add a quiz in seconds using our data. Let's create our own gap fill very quickly, just to show you that we can do that as well. So let's create one. Concepts in crime. Let's now, as you can see here, I've added an example sentence. Got to click add. And now here you've got all these tick boxes. Basically, with these tick boxes, I can choose any word or any series of words and gap them. So let's have punish. Incarcerated is difficult to guess in this context. However, prison with criminals is probably possible. Yeah? So as you can see here, you've got the sentence here, and then it's gapped. So we can just do one, we'll save that. again, I'm going to copy and paste this. And I'm going to put that here. Why not? Okay, so then we've got here. This gives a clue to the student. And then we put it there. Right. Now, people, the great thing about this, and one of the reasons why I, as a teacher, developed that, is that every single gap fill that you create is saved here. So you can use your own exercises that you've created for different classes. You can use them again and again and again forever. And all you have to do is find them on your list here and click use. And there you go. You've got your exercise that you created. So in this respect, the WORDISER platform for teachers allows you to create your own bank of resources such as quizzes and gap fills and a lot more. I'll show you in a bit. And you can build up your own teaching resources materials, basically. Oh, okay. A few words about my approach. Right. As you can see already, some of the technology is quite revolutionary because you can do things that no other platform allows you to do, such as add a quiz or add a gap fill in seconds. The other thing that makes it revolutionary is what we're going to see a little bit later when we look at the student view of what we're doing. Because the platform doesn't just let you create exercises, etc. It actually automates a lot of revision for students. So in a way, it sets automatic homework. So the students receive their activities that you have sent them automatically, and that gets them working on many areas of language that we don't really have time for in the classroom. If you think about it, every time you teach a particular word, how often do you give the exact context in it it's used in? How many times do you board a definition? How many times do you add phonemes or IPA for it, or or give a word list where that word is with other synonyms, so the students can see in which context they can use it and which context they can't. With this technology, we can do that easily, and we can track the students' learning as well. How was that? Any questions about that? So Leonard, did that explain the approach? Okay, let's move on. Right, now, what I wanted to do before we go to the student account is we'll have a look at some other features that are unique to the platform. And I suppose in a way, what makes the platform so unique is that we have all these kind of technologies that work together to create a real learning environment for the English language. Other platforms offer tools. Some of those tools can take a lot of time to learn how to use or to even use effectively in the classroom. But here we can do things a lot quicker. And these tools are really built in terms of getting students to revise and improve their retention and learning rates. Anyways, let's look at another feature we can do here. So I'm just going to go to crime. I want to take an example. Crime and justice. Let's go for verbs. Where were they? Ah, verbs for crime. Okay, and we're going to take 2 sentences. Okay, so we're going to do an error exercise here. We're going to create one. and we're going to put in a correct sentence, and then we're going to put in an incorrect one. So let's have the typical thug let's get rid of this and have wrong conjugation. Okay, now what you can see here is that everything in green has not changed. Everything in red and purple indicates a problem. Let me just save that, and we're going to look at that a little bit later because we're going to look at that in the student account. So, save and close. I'm going to copy this as well. And then we're going to do, we can call this, I don't know, common mistakes for verbs of crime. Oops. Diddle-a-doo. We're going to come back to this because if you click this as a teacher, you don't get much because it's designed for the students. So we're going to go back and check that later. Now, what do I want to do? Right, so let's go back to the top. Remember, we have the title here. Also, by the way, there's help. I should have mentioned that earlier. Now, as teachers, we have to decide which words are relevant, which words are important to students' learning. Sometimes you might have a word list where some words are important in terms of passive knowledge, so they can understand it in a reading or conversation, etc. But they don't really need it to use it actively at this stage. Depends on their level. So here you can actually select what words you want your students to learn. So let's start off. We have stalk. So we got the definition here. Action, crime, follow someone secretly. Then we got a definition here. We just click on add. Now here you can see all the data for this word, and you can tell WORDISER if there's a mistake in terms of the spelling. This is UK and US spelling, or UK spelling only. You can also say if there's a problem with the conjugation. There shouldn't be. And here you can actually edit what are called synonyms, but I would say they're more related words. So another word that most students will probably use instead of stalk is probably follow. And this one I think is just too high level, so I'm going to disable that one. So they can't see it. So you've got here the definition, and here, if you want, if you don't like this sentence here, you can write your own sentence, and the system will save that. So we like the sentence here, that's fine. So we're just going to add to study note, and this is what happens. As you can see here, all this data is instantly saved on your study notes. So as teachers, you don't need to spend all your time boarding every single word, all the pronunciation, all the definitions, etc. All you need to do is do this. Now, as you can see as well, this is flashing, this is popped up now. Let me explain this now. Here is your study list. And here, every word that you add will get added here, and then you can save it for the class. Why do you want to do that? We're going to see why you want to do that in a minute. Let's just add up one or two more words, and then we will save them. So I wanted another word that was a different word set. Yes, have euthanasia, for example. Oops, I spelled that one wrong. Here, search, Okay, there's only one definition there. Let's look at the definition. Pronunciation is correct. Spelling, yeah. Noun, euthanasias. We never use euthanasia in plural. So this is a bit of an error. So I'm going to click that. That will send me a report to check that. We don't use euthanasias. Right, so mercy killing, yes. You could maybe a related word would also be suicide. We could just disable that one. Some people believe in euthanasia and that everyone has the right to die. This is not the same as suicide. That's a good sentence. Reason why I wrote it. So we're gonna add this as well. Right. And we're gonna save it. So as you can see here, you've got your words here saved. No board pens and writing lots of stuff on the board. You've got all the information here, instantly there, done. But we need to do one more thing. So we click here. We check we want these words. If we don't want the words, we click remove. We click save new list. Now this is your default list. You don't want to give it to yourself. You want to give it to your class. So MSU is the class. We select there. It's now saved to the class. So let me just add one or two more words actually, because I have to show you something else. Maybe we can have a discussion while I'm doing that. Let me just do this very quickly because I need more than 2 words to show you the next thing. Right, let's do break in. To break in. Right, crime, add, trespass, do. Right, we'll say that under. Right, there should be enough. Let's check. Right, let me just check. We're now going to go to printable worksheets. Actually, I'll go to home page and show you. You've got printable worksheets down here. Now, this is the class. This was today's. And what we can do here is click. And as you can see here, mug, stalk, euthanasia, break in, you've created a crossword. So let me just go back and explain this in a little bit more detail. So this is printable worksheets. You can search all 6,000 words, sentences, etc. here, and then you can print out worksheets. Brilliant, because you can, for example, you have a lesson on the weather. You do weather. And you've got cold weather, extreme weather, cloudy weather, sunny weather, hot weather, mild weather, all of it. And then click worksheets, click print, and you can select which type of exercise to print. I'm just going to go back. And then, of course, here, this is your list of every single word you save for your classes. Just imagine, every single word that you saved is saved here. And you can select all of them, and then you can turn them into a crossword with definitions. Or you could turn them in, oh, have I gone, oh, I've gone into the wrong one. You can turn them into, let's say something like very simple, pronunciation and spelling. So you've got phonemes, IPA here, and they just have to spell the words. Let's go back and see all the kind of worksheets that you can use as a teacher. So you've got pronunciation and spelling, form and conjugation, controlled gap fill, so that will give, there will be the first letter of the word in the gap, so students can guess using that, that helps them. More advanced is just a gap, so there's no hint. Definition word search, so you'll get a definition and they will fill in the word search. Pronunciation, this is phoneme IPA word search. Definition crossword, pronunciation crossword using phoneme IPA, and gap fill example crossword. So this is sentences with gaps. I think there are 9 exercises in total. Right, let's pause there and then go to the chat and see if there are any questions. Okay, did everybody understand that? Any questions? Oh my God, we're 47 people now. Any questions? Anybody there? Okay, no, before we have a trial, before you want to try it out, which of course you can do today, let's look at the student account because it's important for you to see what your students see, okay? So basically we have the study notes. In the study notes, we can add all of our exercises. Some of them we can add them in seconds, which makes it wow. We can add all our words, and then we can use those words for worksheets that we use in tomorrow's class as a warmer or as a filler, etc. But there's more to it than just that. Okay, let's go back because time is going on. Right, I'm going to go back to the study notes. So it was here. So we got all this vocabulary here. Let's do one last task, and then we'll look at the student account. Okay? Right. Now, what task was I going to give? Yes. Write about common crimes in your city, town, or neighborhood. Try and include some words you have studied here. Now, I'm going to just save this and add it as a link. I can also click on this button and send to students. As you can see, the system is very intuitive, so you just follow the instructions that WORDISER gives you, and you'll be fine. So I'm going to save and close, and I'm going to copy the link because I like to make things all nice and neat. In fact, I'm going to just put that under writing, in fact. Let's do... We'll just call that writing task. And we'll save that under writing. Okay. And now we are going to go to the student account and have a look at what they see. Okay? Is that fine? Okay, I'll try. If I have questions, how can I find information about it? Again, you can go to here, the help page. And for all our Russian teachers, because I'm working with Svetlana and Moscow State University, I will always answer all your questions. So you can go to the help page here and you click contact us, and this will send me a message so I can actually talk to you and explain things. Okay? Now, for the next stage, let's go to the student account, and we had Olga S. Student 1, 2, 3. Right, now, this is a student account. It has something different from a teacher's account. It has this button here, which we'll look at in a minute. In fact, there's an error there, in fact. I'm just going to refresh. Oh, right. Okay, so it says review. So I'm going to study British English. I'm sorry, you guys, but I prefer British English. It's my English. And as you can see here, all the data that we looked at is here. And students can study this, and then they click next. Again, they'll study it. This is quite a funny photo. Sometimes I put funny photos in. They're quite memorable. And then here, you can see the first exercise. So this is on vowels, and the students have to decide which answer is correct. And they've got help here, so they can learn the WORDISER system, which is quite easy because the WORDISER system is actually based on the English alphabet. So it's this simple: is A, able, E, even, I, ice, O, open, U, school. And then the short vowels: A, E, O, A. You can study that more, and there's also, of course, a YouTube video explaining all of the pronunciation. So as you can see, the students receive your word lists that you saved in study notes, and they get this automatic homework. And this is the best homework of all, because as teachers, you don't need to mark it. The system marks it for you. And the other thing that's really good about this is that they get these exercises spaced over a week or 2 weeks. So the words come back again and again and again, helping them to remember them. And in fact, this is one of the things that we're going to look at in our trials at Moscow State University in terms of how effective this is in terms of improving retention and memory. Right, so we have a little system here for courses, which is just vocabulary courses at the moment. There will be other courses in the future. You can see here the big purple buttons, but as you can see, you can't see all the teacher purple buttons, because all students can do is look at the vocabulary, look at the grammar, check their progress, and their study notes, which come from you, the teachers. So let's do that. Yeah, this is just a new account. So there you can see, you got Moscow State University. You can see here you can't edit. Your students can't mess with your data. So click in here, and then you've got the vocabulary that we added, etc. And we've got all of the exercises that we looked at. Now, if this is working and I saved this correctly, let's just have a look at one here. Well, maybe it didn't save. Okay, I'm going to go to writing. So the student would write an assignment here. Now, what did this system just do? Well, the system is, the system is linked to a grammar checker. So what it's doing is it's annotating the student's work up here for you, the teachers, to look at later, and it's giving some feedback. So, for example, I deliberately put in some bad English here. This is not well written, people. So here we've already got some suggestions. So errors 19%, problem very, very. You need a comma after the first very. Lives, you have a problem with your verb agreement, the pronoun. As you can see, quite detailed feedback from the system for your students. Now, the reason why I developed this like this is because, as you all know, we never write anything in our own language just once. We certainly shouldn't do it in English or a second language. This is what process writing is all about. So what happens here is the students get these reports on their sentences and on their use of grammar, etc., so that they can improve their language. At the end of this, they can click Send to Teacher, and then you will receive this, and then you will get a much better version, so it will save you time on correcting all of those typical mistakes. I mean, why correct this as a teacher if the machine can do it? I mean, the machine can't do everything, and that's where we as experts come in. So the final stage of the writing, we check, but the machine can do it all here via WORDISER technology. And this took me a long time to develop. Okay, right. So we have that as well. Now, I'm just going to have to, I'll let you guys ask some questions. You can ask some questions here and have a talk. I'm just going to put in some more data because there's some data missing. So I'm going to go back in. Unless there's a problem with that. I hope not. Right, where was it? It was, it didn't work, did it? For some reason. Okay. Let's see if we can get it working now. Let's just make it. No, that's not guessable. Let's have conjugation break. Right. Okay. How's that saved? Yes, it has saved. Right. Okay. Sorry about that. I must have forgotten to click save on that one. Again, very important. Always click save or add in this case. And it was student 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm going to go to study notes, class, and we're going to go down to where we had it here, sentence correction. So as you can see here, we have error correction. So we have the code here, green correct, red incorrect, purple missing, and then yellow not needed. That's simple. So the system automatically adds the incorrect sentence, and then all you need to do is correct it. So thieves, I believe it was broken, check sentence, yay! I'm amazing. Right, so let's look at one other thing, and then we can finish there and have some questions. Now, this is the student's progress page. Here, as they do the activities, all the data will be recorded. There is no data right at the moment because we haven't really done any activities. However, one other thing. On the progress page, your students will have access to this. It's called My Exercises. My Exercises will list every written assignment you give to your students. So every single essay that they write via WORDISER will be recorded here, and they can go back and they can check their work again and again and again. And in fact, they can use this to have a look at their progress in terms of writing. Now, a wonderful thing that, well, I think is personally wonderful with WORDISER is this. You can do the same for the errors. Has it recorded it or not? Okay, well, it's not showing that at the moment, so I'll have to check that later. But usually, all your errors are listed here as well. So this allows you to build an online error correction diary. So students can go back and revise their errors and really, really learn how to build up self-correction skills. Unfortunately, for some reason, it's not listed here today. Now, also you have my quizzes and my gap fills. What are these? Let me show you very quickly, because so I'm not going to do that exercise right now. The system also comes with something called My Notes. So your students can use this, say, on their tablet in class. They can add a study note, and they can add their own quizzes, their own gap fills, their own images, etc., and create their own notes for the class. And if they do this, then all of those quizzes and gap fills are saved on their progress page. So they can actually, before an exam, go to their progress page and go through all of their quizzes and all of their materials to revise for that exam. Basically, the platform allows us to take all of these different exercises, all this different learning material, and put it all together into one system so that we can have this learning synergy to make things more dynamic and to really improve learning and retention. I'm going to include tasks to develop speaking skills. I'm not sure how we go about doing that exactly. We're doing writing at the moment, we're doing vocabulary, I'm working on grammar. In terms of speaking skills, when it comes to a platform like this, we need to research that in ways in which we can do that. What I'm going to do is that when I do my presentation at Moscow State University in November, we're going to add a whole new series of technology to the platform that will be available to teachers, and that will include grammar exercises, reading, and dialogues. So it will be possible to create a dialogue-based test system using WORDISER. So in that case, yes, we can do speaking skills in terms of set spoken phrases, etc., using WORDISER. But in terms of speaking skills in class, that requires another level of technology and research into thinking about how we go about doing that. Listening comprehension skills, yes, some of the new activities will use listening, plus all of the vocabulary, you can listen to it as well. Online error correction sounds fantastic. Does it mean that every student will be able to do this? Yes. Every student will be able to have their own personalized error correction diary. Wow, we are now 51 people. Okay, now this is a lot for now, and maybe in the future we can do another webinar because there are a lot of other systems that I need to show you, but it's probably a bit too much for everybody to take at the same, well, all at once. But just to show you a few more things, and then we'll finish with a question round. There are other things that you can do as a teacher. So I'm just going to go back to the teacher's account. Pause. Mug. Yay! I got mug correct. Right. Okay. Oh, okay. Right. Sorry, I'm getting too enthusiastic here. Right. Let's go back to Ivan the Terrible. No, Ivan the teacher. Sorry. Now, I don't know what level your students are, but I often teach upper intermediate B1 plus B2 C1 level students. So I often use a lot of where was it? I often use a lot of task-based teaching. So I set a lot of projects for my students. They could be presentations, they could be design projects, all kinds of things. So in WORDISER as well, I mean, this is something you can explore later when you get, more used to using it. But if you think about it, it's not that difficult to learn. It's a very intuitive system. You just follow all the instructions here. But here we can do something called shared folder. And I'll just call it shared folder. And this is great when it comes to projects, because in the share folder, you can click manage roles. And remember, you're the teacher and Olga's the student, but here you could allow Olga access to this shared folder, and Olga then will be able to add all kinds of things. In fact, let's have a look from the student account. Let's go to Olga's very quickly and we'll see what Olga can do. Student 1, 2, 3. All right, let's go down my study notes, shared folder. And here, I can now create a study note. So as a student, I can add my own quizzes here, all kinds of different things here. I can add. This is a bit like the My Notes, but the My Note is personalized. That's the student's personal notebook. Here, the student can actually add all this interactive content and create their own projects. So for example, in class, I've had students writing creative essays. I did some sort of horror stories. And what I did was then I actually got the students to create their own quizzes, testing the other students on their comprehension of the actual stories they'd written. And they loved that because they were able to add images to their horror stories. They added quizzes, testing the other students on their horror stories, etc. So I mean, you can create a lot of project work here. You could even have learner diaries, etc. Could be put here, etc. So you can share content as well. Right, I think that's about it. Any questions? We've lost one user. It was 51 before. Oh, it's gone down to 49. Oh, okay. Right. I've worked as an English language teacher for about 20 years. I once set up and ran a department for ESOL, which is the government program for immigrants here in the UK, because we had to implement the national curriculum for ESOL, which was quite complex. I've done a lot of material course development and writing of materials, both offline materials, printable materials, course books, etc., as well as online interactive materials. I work at Regent's University currently, and before that, I was the course development manager for a project that used English language methodology for the development of the world's first Pashto military series of course books to teach the military to speak Pashto because of the Afghan conflict. So those are just some of the things I have done. Okay, people, you can ask me any questions you want. You can sign up to WORDISER and have a go. Remember, without students, it's not going to be the same experience that you saw today. You need students. And remember, If you find the technology a bit daunting or you don't quite understand it, all you have to do is click contact us and write to me, and I will do my best to answer all of your questions, etc. Thank you very much. I'm looking very forward to Moscow. I have like all my documents already. Well, thanks very much. If you want to invite me to the Crimea, please do. Not yet. I haven't got the visa quite yet. I'm just putting the paperwork. For UK citizens, getting to Russia takes a lot. I hope the platform is very solid. Like I said before, we are going to be updating it. We're going to be listening to your feedback, especially from Moscow State University, and improving it. And although we've done everything for vocabulary until now, we are going to be doing grammar. Thanks very much. So in November, hopefully my presentation there we can record, and then all of you guys can watch that if you're unable to go to the conference. And then I will include all of our new systems for grammar, because if you think it's great for gap fills and quizzes and the error correction diary and writing, wait until you see what we've done for grammar. Thanks. Yeah, please just send me feedback. Would everybody like to my personal email? So you can write to me using the form on WORDISER as a member, or you can write to me via Gmail as well. And I don't mind doing this kind of thing in terms of webinar to help you out or to help out your particular departments with all the teachers there. I know for us teachers, new technology is something we don't always want to adopt, and we can be resistant to it. But believe me, with this kind of technology, it really makes teaching much, much easier, because it allows you to get rid of all of the easy, the little jobs that you have to do all the time. Most of that is done by WORDISER, and then you can really focus on the learning. It's exciting. It's exciting talking to all of you. Yeah, believe me, I can do as many webinars as you want, because I know looking at something like this just for an hour, it's sometimes not enough. You need to look at it in more detail. And I would especially like feedback from people on how easy you find using it, because that's very important to me in terms of designing it and making it easy for people. I mean, as you've seen, We have all of these instructions here. Hopefully in the future we can have these in Russian as well. But we have all the instructions here. And we have the videos. But anything that you find is a problem, that you don't understand, please let me know. What you mean for the next webinar, we should concentrate on each skill? It could be an idea to do skills. I mean, at the moment, I've just tried to show you some of the things you can do in terms of vocabulary, etc. Error correction, writing. But yeah, we could look at the skills, because with the writing, you've got the system that you saw today, but then you've also got the shared folders where we can actually collaborate and work together and create content. So we could also do that as a webinar, as we could have an online workshop where we use the platform and webinar at the same time and produce content. Yeah, we could look at just vocabulary. We could look at vocabulary levels, looking at synonyms, meaning from context, etc. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I wish I could read your names. It's all in Russian, most of it. Just tidying a few things up while people are leaving. Oh, I haven't done on edit. Actually, if you want, we can also give the passwords for the accounts used today, and you can have a look in those accounts. I'm just tidying things up. No, we'll leave that right into us there. Actually, we can put that under here. No, we'll leave it. Right, let's see where we are. Okay. Students would see it like this. Right. Oops. Oh, okay. We have to organize the next webinar, yeah? Okay, well, I'm gonna just make myself a drink, and because we still have 38 people there, and I'll leave the screen here. I need a drink for my voice. Okay, bye. Bye, everybody. I'm going to go and have a drink. Wonderful talking to you all.